These red lights kind of make this room look like a strip club.
It is a strip club.
You're locked in.
Great.
Oh, you have to get rid of that annoying thing, too.
Okay. Alrighty then.
Was that a fart?
No, it was not a fart.
Are you ready for the startup experience of a lifetime? 3 determined guys building their dreams and sharing their journey. Buckle up and grab a beer, because these guys will blow your mind. You're locked in to the Jerusalem Hub audio experience, and it all starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to episode 20 of
Episode
the Jerusalem
20.
Hub audio experience. I'm Shalom Makowitz,
Aaron Menlowitz.
and we are Jerusalem Hub. The purpose of this podcast is for us to show you our, are you kidding me? For us to show you our journey, as well as teach you what we've learned along the way, and to possibly learn from you. So please.
Episode 20. Please like, share, and subscribe. And show us the love. You know, our views have been going up.
I have noticed that.
Especially like on the podcast itself. We've been getting more viewers.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah. More listeners. How can you view audio?
So.
It's freaking hot in here.
Yeah, it's really hot. It's been hot the last few days.
Sweating bowels.
20 episodes. Let's reflect on that a little
20
bit.
episodes.
What does that mean to you?
Remember our first episode that we started? It was in front of Coffee Bean, which is under renovations right now, so it's closed. It's a little sad.
Yeah, when you told the guy to go away. I do remember that.
Too bad that wasn't on video, but Santos doesn't think so either.
We're going live. Yeah.
We're live with the Jerusalem Hub audio experience. Fighter?
Yeah. Anyhow, so 20 episodes. Honestly, I have to say for myself that the fact that we have been able to do 20 episodes shows us how long we've been going for.
Yeah.
It shows us how much we've been, what's the word, excelling or determined to reach success. I think 20 episodes very much describes a form of success.
No matter what was going on, we were just still going for it and just keep pushing on. You know what I owe us? I was supposed to do every episode we have just a weird intro, except for the first 3. When did we do the third podcast was our first video podcast. So I have to do what's it called? An intro montage. Yes,
we do have to do that. But let's wait a little bit longer before we get to that, because I think I don't know.
You should wait on that?
Maybe on for the 25th or 50th episode.
So we gotta get a little moving on that.
Yeah, for sure. I will definitely get on that as soon as possible. So last week you went to a biz conference. I was supposed to go with you. I got sick the night before. I was vomiting and not sleeping. It was not fun. How did that go?
Oh my gosh. So first of all, I was a little upset that I was on my own, but at the same time,
I would imagine.
Because no matter what, however out of the zone you need to get for these conferences, you still it's good to have that wingman on the side.
Yeah, someone to.
I did meet some valuable connections, and I learned a lot of really cool stuff.
May I say, I definitely do apologize. It wasn't quite my fault.
You're forgiven.
I really did want to go, but I was not in a good way.
I dubbed the unforgiven.
Okay. But
we're quoting songs today.
Talk about the fact that you said that you would have liked to have had someone go there with you, and this time you didn't. How did you improvise as far as going it alone?
So, first of all, I always go to that first speech, and I was a little unaware of what the conference was about, but the company's called Binat, and they basically run all communications all over Israel. They basically own everything. If you think about how you Ravkav, which is how we get around the city and the country by paying for stuff. So they basically own all the communications or run all the communications that connects their system with every single the train, the buses, the light rail, probably gonna start charging for food for that too. I don't know. Bezek has technology that was
Bezek,
created
the
by
internet
them.
provider.
Yeah, because BNUT is like, I spoke to the HR person over there, and they're always looking for new more employees. By the way, they're a company of over 500 people, and they have 8 people in HR. So if that tells you how big their company is, if they have 8 people in HR, yeah. So that place felt like I was in one of those massive, what's it called? One of those massive conferences in like LA where you have these huge, every booth had their own like separate TV, and where they plugged in, and some of them had beer, some of them were giving out whiskey. And
Sounds like
that was
quite a
part of my
party.
improvisation of like, I just need to just start drinking and start talking to people. So that's what I did.
Which is one of the tips that I gave last week. That if if all else fails and you're feeling very shy, take a couple shots.
I'm generally a very shy person, and it just helped a lot. A really cool thing that happened was there's smaller booths where people probably paid a little bit of money, not too much, to get a little booth. One of them wasn't there. They didn't show up. They had like something overseas. That's what I was told. So I just sat in their booth for like an hour or two. I plugged in my phone because it was dead, and they all had things. And people are coming up to me asking me about that company. So I said, they're not here right now, but I'm working from a Jerusalem hub, and let me tell you about what we do. And I just got like a ton of numbers and met a lot of really cool people.
Awesome.
Just doing that. And like, just little small hacks like that. Someone told me a really cool hack that they do actually at conferences.
As far as what's concerned, like what kind of a hack?
Having people come up to them.
Oh, okay.
It was really interesting. What this guy does generally, he's marketing. He does marketing for startups across LinkedIn, Facebook, Google. He has a whole team. He's based in Caesarea. And he told me what he does is he wears a sports jacket, and everyone comes up to him thinking that he's an investor. But he's not.
That's smart.
And also, he said another secret: when you're signing up to these conferences, sign up as an investor, and you'll get special treatment.
That is not a bad tip.
It's very interesting.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, hint, hint.
I will then we'll probably
Our Crowd
do that
2019.
yeah. Then maybe we'll go until we get to be in the VIP room.
Our Crowd 2019, one of us is gonna be speaking.
Is that a speculation? Like that's the
No,
goal?
it's something that I know is gonna happen. I don't know what we're gonna speak about, but they're gonna talk to us about something.
Damn.
We're gonna give a talk. I don't know what, but it's gonna happen.
Oh, okay. Well, you've heard it first here. That's pretty sick. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm ready to set that up. I'm ready to do that. Just to move on to what the main topic of what we're going to be discussing here, we are doing a series. The next few episodes are going to be about how to start a business, like starting from like 0 to 60, from the beginning all the way to where like that, to how to keep it moving, how to keep things grinding. So we're going to start
Starting from zero. Basically, what is the first? What is zero?
the idea,
The idea.
your idea. Do you want to elaborate on what that means, just so people understand, or should I elaborate?
The idea. Well, it's
we all have ideas.
Everyone has ideas, but what is the idea? You know that you're sitting, and then you have that spark in your mind.
Yeah,
like,
what if we like did like the stuff, this thing? That's the idea.
like
Technically.
it's like in its like little seedling state, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Ideas are always like they're that little baby that you haven't like cultivated it yet. You haven't put it together. It's just something that you have that idea and you're excited about it.
Yep.
That's it.
So before we continue, you sent me something that you wanted me to write down and say. So I'm going to say that real quick. It's
Which
very
is
important. It's a very important quote.
Very important about ideas.
Yes. A very common and painful early stage problem. Millions of people have ideas, but nobody knows what to do with them. Most ideas either never truly see the light of day, or those that do end up languishing shortly after the pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that?
That's ideas for you.
Well, yeah.
You got the idea. I'm sorry I had to do that.
That's okay.
But
what does that mean?
we're going to be very, very careful with this episode because we could quickly turn into the idea to the next stage, which is like, this is basically what that line is. Not just the market research. That's part of what the next stage is. There's the idea, and then there's like what this quote is referring to is the idea is not having fruition, which is the short term for an action that's to be taken up on the idea. We're gonna try to like not dance on that line of idea to action, which is going to be very difficult. We'll catch ourselves a few times, I'm sure.
Probably.
But let's talk about the idea.
Okay, so with that being said, let's start with what is a good idea and what is a bad idea versus a bad idea. I'll tell you this.
Question.
Yeah, I'll tell you this straight out. There's no such thing as a bad idea.
And there's no such thing as a good idea.
And there's no such thing as a good idea. Most ideas that actually end up being lucrative for people are pretty stupid ideas.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to come and pitch to me Uber, I'd be like, that sounds really dumb, but it'll probably work because it sounds so dumb, because it's so simple.
There's two examples that I think of right now of an idea that were thrown down right away. FedEx.
Okay.
You know what FedEx is? Everyone knows what FedEx is.
It's a delivery company.
FedEx is a delivery company. What they do is overnight shipping. The guy who created FedEx, I forgot his name. I should have looked it up. These are things that are popping to my head right now. His idea was created in business school in Harvard, and all the teachers gave him like a D or something on it.
Really?
They said, nah, it's not so good, whatever, good job. Here's a D for effort. He went out and did it.
So their platform was, in order to beat the competition, was that they were going to be faster.
Yeah, overnight delivery. Like, who would pay for overnight delivery if I could just do free or 30 cents or however much it was for postage, for U.S. Postal? Like, I could do the cheaper option. Why would I use overnight delivery? Like, so some people thought it was a crappy idea. The guy himself thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But that's all that matters. That kind of segues into the rest of what we're going to discuss here, because the truth of the matter is that there is no such thing as a good or a bad idea. It's based on your motivation towards pursuing that idea and how passionate you are about that idea.
Right, and that's teetering on the next step.
Is it?
It's so close. Like,
I don't know. My next step is market research. What's your next step?
My next step is all-inclusive. It's like the action part, which is market research.
But the action part, I think, is a part of the
market
idea.
Research.
Because we all have ideas. When I go on a walk, I come up with ideas all the time.
But how often do you take action on them?
I only take action on the ones that I think are
so
worth
that
taking
action step is the market research. But whatever, let's step back.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
One more example of an idea that was thrown out 1,009 times.
KFC.
Duh. But like, because 1,009 people rejected the idea and thought it was stupid, but he believed in it enough.
Yeah.
Exactly. Also, like, I could give like countless times that people, when I was developing apps for another company, countless people like, oh, you develop apps? Let me tell you about my app idea. I think every app, including the apps that I've developed, were stupid. Dumb apps. But these people believed in them. It doesn't make them bad ideas. So like, I came up with this mantra, just a saying that I had, like, all app ideas are stupid except for the ones that make it.
Right. I think honestly, most ideas, especially app ideas, I think most ideas are stupid. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is, this kind of goes on the fact of like having a mastermind group and being surrounded by the right kind of people to help you think more innovative, like to be more innovative in your thinking. You might have a really good idea, and it may not be great coming from you, but if you're surrounded by people who support you and are supporting the fact that you're being innovative and you're being ambitious and you're trying to make a difference in this world, I think that if you can surround yourself around positive people and positive reinforcement, you can come up with a pretty solid idea, even if it sounds like the dumbest thing in the world.
Right.
Like, interestingly enough, like when I was a lot younger and I used to come up with ideas, like I would always pitch them to people that I had respect for. Mm-hmm. And the only thing, what would they do? Instead of saying like, oh, that's not a bad idea, let's look into it, or let's see if that could be a good idea or a bad idea, if it's worth pursuing or not. They would just give me the reasons why it wouldn't work. And the funny thing
Yeah.
is that I've also caught myself doing that for other people. And it partially has to do with the fact that people don't have patience for other people. But
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is that I think a lot of pursuing ideas, because I remember hearing this quote, I've said it a bunch of times, probably on this podcast as well, that that the richest place in the world is the graveyard, because in the graveyard are all the ideas that could have been something that all have died with the people who came up with those ideas.
Wow.
The truth of the matter is that in order for you to actively pursue your idea, before the passion and before the motivation comes, you need to find the right people to have that positive reinforcement,
Right.
so that you are able to not back down, which is half the battle, if not like 75% of the battle. Because work is work. You see it in front of you, you can get it done. And that, based on how dedicated you are to doing the work and how much of a work ethic you have, will tell you how fast the work will get done. But the real battle is the positive reinforcement, staying motivated, because it's really tough shit. It's really hard. And you can't, you have to be surrounded by the right people. I think partially, like, I come up with good ideas all the time. Are they gonna work? Who knows? But the truth of the matter is, partially the reason why I haven't pursued most of the ideas I've come up with is because I'm not surrounded by people that enforce that positive atmosphere and say, like, let's actually look into this.
Right. And another step to that would probably be being open to these people's criticism or additions or refinement. Like, I wouldn't call criticism, like, I just thought of this right now, criticism of an idea, I wouldn't call it criticism, I'd call it a refinement of your idea.
Okay, elaborate a little bit.
Meaning that these people, they care about you. They'll give you their unsolicited advice, go to school, go to college, whatever. But when you tell them an idea, they're probably, if they really care about you and they're not jealous, they're like, oh, that's interesting. Now you have a whole nother brain that's vibrating and thinking about this idea, so they have their whole nother perspective. So they're gonna say either this won't work, or what about this aspect of your idea that you didn't think about. So they're helping you refine it.
Like, I'll give you an example, actually.
Because there's factors that you didn't think about before that they did.
I'll give you an example which is very subtle and it's an interesting way, because I think most people have seen this movie. But the movie The Social Network, which is about, like, the building of Facebook, when they go meet Sean Parker at that sushi restaurant, and he's like, the biggest contribution they said he made, but he was a positive reinforcer. He came up with an idea, he pursued the idea, ended up getting sued by a bunch of people, but he still pursued it at a young age, which takes balls. It's a very ballsy thing to do. And he's like, get rid of the, just make it Facebook. And, like, the truth of the matter, the reason why I like that example, at first when you hear it, you may not think that's a stupid example. I'll tell you why I like that example. Because you had the idea, you wanted to pursue the idea, and what he was doing was that he was outsourcing to find ways that he can innovate to be more sleek, more cool, to be more visionary in a way. Yeah. And that contribution probably made a huge deal as far as marketing was concerned towards them marketing their product. There's no such thing as a bad idea. I mean, like, the beginning of Facebook, right? The beginning of Facebook were these two guys, the Winklevoss twins, who wanted to make a social network so that women could meet Harvard men. And then they took it to Mark Zuckerberg, and he's like, no, screw that.
# they were overly horny.
He's like, screw that.
Icelandic peoples.
And he was like, no, we're gonna build it amongst colleges. And then it started gaining popularity, and now it has access to everybody. Imagine if he hadn't have done that. No one would have heard of it, and it would have probably not worked, because they weren't thinking big picture, they weren't being innovative, they weren't thinking outside the box, and they just were not cut out for building something like that.
Right. So that kind of, like, teeters on another aspect of the idea of all these ideas that people have. You think of them and they don't happen because a lot of people don't know how to take the idea to the next step. Which is part of the reason why we're making this series, is because we want to show you how to take it to the next step. Because we took this idea of Jerusalem Hub and we took it to the next step.
We didn't know what the hell we were doing either.
We didn't know what we were doing, but we knew we had an idea of how to move forward.
We had a name. Forward. We had a website domain.
And then we had an idea of how to move it forward.
Yeah. Another really cool example that I'll give you
ended up. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it also spread out into more aspects of Jerusalem Hub, which we are expanding upon.
Yes, we are. But another really cool example that I'll give you is that there's this show on Netflix called Lilyhammer. and I started watching it a little bit, and it's a comedy. It's kind of funny. But basically, long story short, it's about this mobster who testified against the mobs, and he got what's the word? He got like what do they do? He's in damn it, what's the word? Like the government, he testified and then the government relocated him. What's that called again?
Protective custody.
Protective custody. So he asked to go to Lillehammer, which is in Norway.
Right.
Okay, because I don't know, for some reason it's like a snow wasteland. It's like, why the hell would anyone want to go there? But he likes it there, so he went there. And the funny thing is that when we're talking about, and I know this seems very out of place, but I'm gonna bring it in right now. When we're talking about the idea and we're talking about positive reinforcement and surrounding yourself around the right people, he went to Norway. He went to this city, Lillehammer, this town, Lillehammer, with whatever he could carry, whatever he had in his pocket, money. And he's like, I'm going. I don't speak the language. I don't have anything. They barely gave me anything. And I'm going to try to figure it out. And basically what it's about is he's setting up his operation that he's learned throughout his life from being a mobster. And he's doing it in a completely different country with a completely different culture. And the reason why I think it's so important to connect that with this is the fact that you see like the Winklevoss twins, for example, they were rich kids. And they're like, how do I become rich like my father? Well, their father paved the way for their ambition. And with him, and with this mobster guy, he was paved with his livelihood and the way he grew up in the neighborhoods that he's from in New York. It paved the way for his ambition, and he's able to just make money like that, and blackmail and do the whole thing, and like just make everything work out perfectly, so that he starts making money, becomes a big shot in this nobody town. And I think the biggest thing about the idea, because we all have ideas, is just making sure that you go to the right people and get the right exposure, the right positive reinforcement. It's really just about that. I mean, there's nothing else that we can really discuss about the idea besides for I would say I only have 2 tips to give people when it comes to the idea. One is find the right people to expose it to. Don't get discouraged because one person's opinion doesn't mean shit. If you think that it's a good idea, then you think it's a good idea.
A lot.
Right?
Through this
100%. Trip. And then my next tip would be, and if you have any other tips, you feel free to share them, but my next tip would be is just open up a Google Doc. Write everything in detail the way that you understand it, even if it sounds stupid. That way you have a concrete thought on the idea and you can move on to the next step.
I would even say when you have that idea, just start writing with pen and paper. Like go completely old school.
Yeah, I mean,
if that
works for you.
But it's very important. This is also teetering on the next step. But I guess we could put it in the realm of an idea. Is for sure. You have that idea, write it down. You should have a list of all your ideas somewhere.
Right.
I met with someone a few weeks ago. He was telling me about his idea, and he's telling me I get all these crazy ideas all the time, but I just write them down. And sometimes I even talk about them. I'm very open about my ideas because if someone wants to take them and do them, great. The real important ones that I really believe in, I don't talk about. Those are ones I take action on. And the idea he told me was actually pretty incredible.
Writing down my uncle, actually, when I went to America, the last time I went to America, I got to see my uncle for the first time, and he the first thing he did is he said a few words to me, gave me a hug, whatever it was. He took me to the store. He bought me a pen and a notebook. He said, "This is for you to write down every idea you have." Mm-hmm. And the thing is that people go into business for the wrong reasons sometimes. I say going into business like I'm starting this business, this is my end game. It's the wrong reason to go into business because Jerusalem Hub isn't the end. Jerusalem Hub is the means to another end. You know what I mean? I'm not, this is the experience that I gain from this. I'm going to get I'm going to use towards another thing that's going to be a bigger score and more action. You know what I mean? That's what I think it's about. And I think if you write down these ideas, you might, in a lifetime, maybe you won't get to all your ideas, but maybe you'll get to some.
Yeah.
And but I think the main topic, when it comes to the idea, is really being around the right people. I mean, I can't stress it enough.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that from time to time, like whenever I'm on my own and I'm thinking, I always think about like how to be a good father, right? Which I'm sure something is on your mind all the time because you have a son. And the interesting thing that people always say, right? The interesting thing that people always say is, no matter what you do, you're always going to screw up somehow. Being a parent is the hardest job in the world. And you think of
no doubt.
And let's think about the people out there that are successful in this world. For the most part, they've struggled, they've been abused, or it's the exact opposite extreme, or it's that they come from a successful background and they learn from their parents' tutelage correctly in order to pursue their own success. That's what really happens. Now, why is it that people who struggle end up pursuing great feats? I mean, I have an answer of my own, but do you have the answer?
Why do people who struggle? Because they are working against that friction.
Right, because they grow up with the idea that they're lacking somehow. And for the first however many years, 20 years, 30 years of their life, they're spending time focusing on
working on themselves.
Working on themselves and gaining attributes that they think they don't have, which in actuality they do have, but because they were brought up in such a way and not able to be shown that they have those attributes, they have to now figure it out for themselves, which makes them hungrier and makes them, I mean, there obviously there are negative side effects to that in the sense that they are really hard on themselves. I, for example,
like immigrants, for example.
Right. I, for example, am very hard on myself. I'm barely ever satisfied, which is not a great thing, but it is a good thing in the sense that I work harder for everything that I do. But it's not a great thing because it can mess with self-esteem. You can be like, well, I'm a dirty piece of shit and nothing's gonna happen. But the truth of the matter is that if you block that out and you kind of gain a certain kind of confidence, because I'm doing this because I need to learn how to do this. I need to be better at this. But I'm a good dude because I'm confident that I'm gonna get this done. You learn how to balance it. It takes time to figure that out.
But the balancing act of it.
The truth of the matter is that the most successful people who actually pursue their ideas are the people who struggle, or the people who come from everything because they know how to have it, because it comes easily to them. And that, I think, is the most important factor.
Acquired experience.
Right. That, I think, is the most important factor when it comes to the idea. Because the only way that you're going to pursue that idea is if you tap into the struggles that you've been through in life, struggles or non-struggles or whatever, or what have you, or the fact, like, actually the two differences, struggling and not struggling, as far as like a background and growing up. Struggling, you need to prove yourself, you want to live a better life. Not struggling, you need to prove yourself, you want to show your parents that you can do it without them.
But that's also a struggle.
It is a struggle. But I'm saying that those are the similarities between the two. And the truth of the matter is that if in order for you to pursue this, whatever idea you have, given the fact that you're passionate about it, you have to be passionate about it, and you have to be motivated and dedicated to it. So if you are motivated, dedicated, and passionate, the next thing that I would say that you have to do is look deep down at how far you've come from point A to point B, and tap into that struggle and tap into that climb, that uphill climb that you put to
use that as like a vehicle
to
push your idea.
Make you the person that you are. If you just come up with an idea and just like, it's an idea of mine. Okay, screw you. You're not going to get it out there.
Yeah, but like, who am I to make an idea?
I mean, what were you going to say?
No, because a lot of people will think, I have an idea, but like, who am I?
Yeah, exactly. And I've said that to myself many times.
And most people are nothing until they make their idea something.
Right. Exactly. So I've said to myself many times, it's a struggle. It's not easy. It takes time. Everything takes time. Finding the right person to marry takes time. You have to you have to sift through the bullshit in order to get to the promised land. Same thing happens with exercise. You got to sift through the bullshit to get to the promised land. Same thing happens with diet and health, losing weight, pursuing an idea, building a business. Exactly. Everyone likes to skip those things, and that's the truth of the matter.
Skipping steps never works.
You can't skip steps. And like that's really what that's what I have to say. Like so I guess we have 3 tips. The 3 tips that I would give as far as building an idea is, obviously you have the idea. Make sure that you're both passionate, motivated, and dedicated to it. The next thing I would say is to write it down in detail.
Yeah.
And then before you pursue it, make sure that you dig real deep and dig deep down to see how far you come. Channel that energy and say, I'm going to do this and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example of how to tap into that energy, let's say that you were overweight and you wanted to lose weight and you wanted to diet and you started and it was discouraging. It was
Which is
hard.
an idea.
Yeah, it's an idea. There you go.
I want to lose weight.
Bad.
It's
Yeah,
an idea.
I want to lose weight. And you started dieting and you started craving a lot of foods that you no longer are allowed to eat. And you don't see results. 1 week passes, you see nothing. 2 weeks pass, you see something a little bit slightly, but nothing too crazy to keep going. But you're like, I'm going to continue. I'm going to determine. And you do it, and you start dieting better. Then you start losing weight. But then you're unsatisfied because you lost a little bit of weight, but you didn't lose the weight that you wanted to lose. And you're like, when the hell is this going to happen? I mean, that in essence is, if you can work out for a month straight and see the differences between the first day you started and day number 30, look back at that accomplishment and channel that energy towards what you want to do.
Meaning that you're piggybacking off of a previous success to launch your next
100%.
idea.
You're piggybacking. You're using all of your achievements as fuel to move forward. That is the only way that you can pursue an idea.
Right.
Do you
And
have
that's the
anything
next
to
step
add?
for an idea.
Like, no, just on top of that.
So I just keep going back to that thought. Like, the next something that I would add on to it, like we already said that speak to somebody. It's just bouncing the ideas, and also you want to find someone. Like if you have a specific idea, like I'll tell you an idea that I'm working on. I'm not gonna tell you specifics about it, but I'm still working on it. I talk about it a lot. Launching a satellite.
Oh yeah.
Into space. Like whenever I say it, everyone laughs at me.
I laughed a little bit just now.
Yeah, he just laughed at me. He's like, oh, he's gonna put up a satellite.
But I believe it.
But
as much as
so part of what I'm doing now is obviously I'm not even doing market research on it. I'm learning about it. I'm learning about the concept of how a satellite works.
So you're passionate about it.
I'm learning about how it stays up in the air. And I've been following stuff, like I've been learning about how the International Space Station
Didn't you
stays up.
send me a picture yesterday of the International Space Station?
So I've been following it, and maybe 2 or 3 times a day, you could visibly see it through the passing by in the sky at certain times a day. So I'm learning about how orbits work, which orbit do I want the satellite to go into, and I'm at the same time, besides for doing research into the idea, which is something. It's before market research. It's like learning about your idea.
Right.
And part of learning about your idea is looking for people who are experienced in that realm.
Right.
And talking to them and bouncing your idea off them and see what they think. You're still in the idea stage. It's just another level of development of your idea.
So I guess if you're going to share what you're doing, I'll share what I'm doing personally for myself. I'm
just one of my ideas.
I'm big into fair
Yeah.
enough. I'm big into health and fitness and being in shape and being healthy, and I've been working out for a while. I think when I first really started working out was with you when we were doing Insanity.
Hi, Shop Time.
And it was good. But for me, it's like I want more. I want to be more dedicated. I want to build my work ethic up. And I started working out 3 times a day, which takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication, making sure you're eating the right foods, making sure you're on top of yourself, no matter how tired you are, just get it done, get it out of the way. And I started biking with my brother 3 times a week. I bike 26 kilometers 3 times a week.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And you see the difference. You see, and I'm studying the health and fitness factor because and the reason, and this is why I like mentioning this, is that I try to get better and better at it because it fuels my motivation. It shows me how hard I can work and what I can get from that work so that I can then transfer that motivation and that accomplishment towards bigger and better dreams. And that is kind of what I'm working on. I mean, now that we've kind of you actually pinpointed it perfectly, everything that you want to do is an idea. We're not talking about business ideas right now. We're Talking about ideas. I want to floss my teeth every day. Start one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right? Then once you get that down, you want to floss your teeth twice a day. So start doing it. You know what I mean? And then you see, oh, well, now it's part of my routine. It's part of what I do. It's part of my what's the word? Routine, I guess is the right word. But like it's rituals. It's part of your ritual, which is an important word, by the way. Because because it's interesting. A lot of athletes or like public speakers or musicians, what have you, they have like certain rituals that they stick to that seem stupid to other people, but it gets them in that mindset of like being creative, being innovative, doing these creative, insane things. People always like, and that's the interesting thing is that talent doesn't last that long. Talent can only go so far.
Right.
It's about the dedication. It's about the passion. It's about what you actually want. And the idea is fueled by all of that.
It's interesting. I was also I just thought of right now a reason why a lot of like we didn't talk about setbacks for ideas a little bit, but maybe we touched on it just to add that a lot of people they think about their idea and they're like, I can't do that. I don't.
But there's
know
no such
anything
thing
about
as
it.
I can't.
So another thing that I was also touching on is a little bit of understanding about what your idea is, which you don't have to understand completely as long as you're consciously competent about the fact that it's possible. Like you don't think about how electricity works before you flip on a switch.
Right.
Like you don't go to school and learn all about electricity and the physics behind it and all the intense equations and stuff that go into what makes a light bulb go. Edison already thought about it and he put it together for you. All you have to do is flip a switch.
Right.
So you just have to flip the switch. So
Pretty
like
much.
that's something like that. Like you think about it go back to the idea that I was thinking about. I don't mind sharing this. The satellite. There's a few things that people say. Oh, how do I get it in the sky?
Cross that road and we
How do you
there.
get it to go fast enough to stay in orbit? I don't need to worry about that because the rocket's already doing that.
Because
And
by then you'll know Elon Musk and he'll help you do that.
I don't need to know Elon Musk. I'll just need to get in touch with SpaceX or the competitors. Boeing is in the competition
I
now.
was just trying to motivate you. You don't have to fight.
And
shoot down my
Israel sends
motivation.
up satellites every few months anyway. So like meaning that I already like cut out that whole factor. All I have to think about is what the function of the
Right.
satellite that I want to do is, because I know that it will get, if once I have the money for it and once it's ready to go, it's going to get up there and it's going to do what it needs to do.
So I guess given that, if
So I'm saying like
go
cut
for
out.
it.
So my point is like when you get a little bit educated about your idea, you just cut out the things that you don't need to worry about because you just need to focus on the specifics.
So as far as setbacks go, what you're saying is don't overdo it, don't overthink
Don't
it.
overthink it because
Think
most of the time the
simply-
things that you can't do really are already done already, and you can just piggyback up on those.
Think simply and start from there.
Exactly.
Which is what we did here. What do? We bought a domain name. We had it idle for like a year or so. Then we're like,
Yeah.
oh, the OutCrowd.som's coming up. Let's just start from there, and then
Right.
boom, look what else is happening.
right.
So
Because
that-
we geared Jerusalem Hub toward a network of. It was originally supposed to be a network of entrepreneurs, startups, and
right.
investors.
And
Where
now
it was the
it's just
second thing.
much more, and we still don't even really know. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be something.
I think we pitch it now as right now we pitch it as a network.
right.
And what I was thinking, we're gonna pivot that to a community.
Hell yeah. With
The Jerusalem Hub
mastermind
community.
groups for people who have ideas.
And I'll tell you why
wanna pursue
after
them.
we finish the podcast. Why I
Which
say
is
that.
my actual dream, by the way. That was my original dream.
Yeah.
Was that I wanted a table of people with money to sit with ideas, pursue them, like kind of like a Shark Tank situation.
Yeah.
But a little nicer. But yeah, I mean that's that's essentially how it works. So just to sum it all up, in order for
Good
you,
stuff this time. I
yeah,
like that.
just to sum it all up, in order for you to pursue your idea, passionate, dedicated, motivated.
And just don't throw out your idea just because you think you can't.
Right. That's also true.
Just don't throw out your ideas.
As far as
write them down.
Write it down in detail. Spare no details. Write everything down so that you have it on paper, so that it becomes something. Because not only that you'll have it on paper, so you
You're
don't forget.
embodying it for
but
yourself.
exactly. It becomes something that you can envision and you can start
Yeah.
expanding.
Because once you put it in paper, you just made your idea into some physical equivalent of itself.
Step 3 would be to surround yourself around people who will respect you for your idea and will give you the proper input so that you can pursue the idea.
Yep.
Because there's no such thing as a bad idea. And as far as setbacks go, when it comes to starting your idea, don't overthink it, don't overdo it. Start simply and expand from there.
Yep.
So with that being said, our challenge
Love
to you,
it.
our challenge to you is to write down your ideas every day. Find one that you are most passionate about and motivated to do, and follow those steps.
Find someone who is in that realm of the idea. Network with them.
And even if it's a dumb idea, like wanting to be cleaner and clean up your room, do it. Then build up from there.
And we want to hear about your ideas too. We're here to help. Like that's what we're all about.
Yeah, 100%. Let us know. Comments below. Let us know you're out there.
Message us privately if you don't want to talk about it to anybody else.
Do the plug.
Which one?
The subscribe one.
Oh, I thought you did in the end.
Oh, I'll do it in the end. I don't care. It really helps us out a lot if you guys hit that subscribe button, subscribe, and comment. It helps us out.
Share
as well.
Share.
I think this was a great episode.
Yeah,
and
I like this. A good 20.
I'm looking forward to episode 21, which will be about market research. The next step.
What comes after the idea?
Market.
Basically, the series turns into like how to take the idea and start making something happen with it.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. It's the most exciting part.
I really liked this episode. I thought it was great,
Yeah.
and we hope that you enjoy it as well. And
Yep.
we will see you next time. So with that being
See you
said,
next time.
this concludes episode 20 of the Jerusalem
So
Audio
20
Experience.
XX.
Thank you for joining us.
And with that, we end. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, support us, like, share, and subscribe, and you'll get more of our content, whether you like it or not.